Get ready for a shocker. Ms. King drops a big truth bomb, saying Mr. Porter's denial about being the dad has messed up their relationship big time. She's super eager for today's results to clear up all the mess. Buckle up because it's about to get even crazier.
Ms. King, you are here to prove to your on-again, off-again boyfriend, Mr. Porter, that your 3-year-old son, Kylan, is his biological child. You say his denial has destroyed your relationship and you need today's result to set the record straight.
You won't believe this. Ms. King spills the beans about making up a story that she was pregnant just to get back with Mr. Porter after they split. The audience couldn't believe their ears. And guess what? The next part is even more of a doozy.
And then what happens when you find out you're pregnant, Ms. King?
Told him that I was pregnant, but I really wasn't pregnant.
Oh! Now, all right, Mr. Porter. So then Ms. King admits she lied and said she was pregnant. What happens? You're pregnant, what happened?
At the time, she told me she was pregnant. So I decided, because I didn't have my father in my life, I decided I'm gonna step up to the plate regardless.
Hold on to your popcorn, because here's another twist. While explaining her tale, Ms. King lets slip that a month after her fake pregnancy story, she actually got pregnant for real. Talk about confusing, and the plot thickens. Keep watching.
But maybe about a month after her telling me she was pregnant, walked in a room with a pregnancy test and was just waving it around like she was pregnant. I was confused. Then I started to think, like, how you pregnant? You know, like, if a month went by and you now I'm pregnant, I was confused, like, I can't be the father. Like, that don't make no sense.
So you thought she had been with another guy
Yeah.
and was really trying to pin the baby on you, either trap you with this baby because she wanted to stay with you.
Right.
Oh boy, here's a kicker. Ms. King admits she fibbed about being pregnant at first. This whole thing stirs up a big talk on why trust is a huge deal in relationships, especially with all these twists and turns. The drama's not over. There's more jaw-dropping stuff up next.
So then you were pregnant, but he doesn't believe that.
No, he doesn't believe it.
How you pregnant?
But you didn't even know I was lying about my pregnancy until recent. I just came out clear and told you I even lied about being pregnant during that time.
Right.
But you did let him know that you lied. Once you lie and someone catches you in a lie, everything you say, you looking going, is he lying? Is she lying? That's just how it works. That's what trust is about.
Imagine Mr. Porter's face when he finds texts on Ms. King's phone from another dude while they're at the hospital. The drama level is off the charts. You might want to sit down for this. Things are about to get even wilder.
When she was pregnant, like in the hospital, you know, giving birth to Kylan, she was like, you could say drained, tired, you know, so she went to sleep. I grabbed the phone and I seen some text messages between her and another guy. So that right there was like...
But why were you going through my phone? We're not together.
This is a picture of you in the hospital.
Correct, when he was first born.
Now take a deep breath. Mr. Porter talks about a health issue from when he was a kid. He had a bad case of lead poisoning, which he thinks might mess with his chances of having kids. This adds a whole new layer of drama to the story. Don't go anywhere. The big reveal is just around the corner.
Your Honor, at the same token, I have a medical problem. When I was a child, I was diagnosed with the second highest case of lead poisoning in the state of New York. And I'm 26 right now, and I've never had any children at all until this situation.
Wait for it. Bam! The results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Porter, you are the father.
Mr. Parker is denying paternity of Ms. Parker's child.
Yes,
Mr. Parker, you say your advice to Ms. Bailey and her daughter is find the real father of the child.
Yes, Your Honor.
You do not believe you are 4-month-old Zechariah's biological father.
According to Ms. Bailey, Ms. Parker's mother, Mr. Parker completely disappeared from her daughter's life.
Well, Your Honor, I've come here today because Mr. Parker has done nothing. He left her when she was 16 weeks pregnant, didn't look back, and he is living his life without responsibility. I provide for the baby. I buy the formula. I'm there to hold the baby when he cries and comfort him, not him.
Ms. Parker claims she was abandoned when she was 16 weeks pregnant.
I've had the same phone number for 4 years, and he hasn't called me once. He left me when I was 16 weeks pregnant. He abandoned me. He left, and he didn't look back.
Their stories are similar, but the point of view is different.
It wasn't so much leaving, ma'am, as being run out of the home. The last few days there, Your Honor, she told me that I wasn't worth nothing, that I was not allowed to eat, that I was not allowed to be a part of this family.
That's a lie. He wanted her to cook separate meals, and in these days and time, that is very hard.
He wanted me to take care of him like I was his maid. I wanted him to grow up.
She was right about the separate meals, Your Honor. But I wasn't the one eating separate meals. I would cook something for me and my stepson, Jacob. Then she would come behind and fix herself like a steak, whatever else out of the refrigerator.
Mr. Parker doesn't like that she started taking care of herself.
What led to this entire situation anyway?
First it started, she'd start wearing makeup and everything. She was wearing it to church. She never wore makeup before. She started wearing it just to go to pay the bills, run out to go over, just to go see the neighbors. I didn't know if she was trying to get something going with the neighbors or not.
Ms. Parker put a lock in the bedroom and Mr. Parker became suspicious.
I come home one day, she's put a padlock on the bedroom door. That's the lock on the bedroom door that I came home to one day.
Ms. Parker, why?
Because all the Christmas presents were in there, and I have an 8-year-old. I'm not going to let him go in there because he still believes in Santa.
Mr. Parker claims he wasn't even allowed to be in the doctor's appointments.
Did you accompany her to doctor's appointment?
I was told I was too annoying and I needed to stay home.
Did you tell your husband he was annoying and needed to stay home?
I told him that I didn't need somebody holding my hand at a doctor's appointment.
The birth certificate doesn't have Mr. Parker's name on it, and he is furious.
And ma'am, I'd like to enter into evidence the birth certificate shows where I was not even registered as a father. And this shows that I was not even on the certificate. It shows that she lied to the doctors, lied to the hospital, and lied to me.
Ms. Parker claims the doctors refused to write his name, even though she gave them his name.
She didn't lie to them.
I didn't lie. The hospital, didn't put him on the birth certificate because of the marital problems.
Mr. Parker brought his mother to the court to give his opinion.
What relationship are you to Mr. Parker?
I'm his mother. Before they separated, she had brought him to my mother's and dumped him out 2 or 3 times. My son, they had one car that he bought. So she would have a car for her and these children.
And
he
he able to
get
buy
a car to get back and forth to work from my daddy.
Mr. Parker's mother and Ms. Parker clearly do not get along.
I'm not a mama's boy.
He don't work. She
She's not the only one in college, though.
Halfway through my second.
But it don't do no good if you don't work, if you stay on welfare and food stamps.
Ms. Parker is requesting retribution for the expenses she had for her child.
You had spent $3,691.50 on child care expenses. Do you have proof of those expenses?
Yes, ma'am. We have to buy his formula, his diapers. We had to buy his crib, his car seat. We've had to buy everything for this child. He has not helped one bit.
The judge has had enough and is ready to give the results.
At this point, I think the only way to move forward is to get the result. In the case of Bailey Parker v. Parker pertaining to 4-month-old Zachariah Bailey, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Parker, you are his father.
I told you.
I'm done with this. I want to see the 2 parents without their mothers.
Yes, Your Honor. Buckle up. Here comes the circus. Ms. Torrey and Ms. Henderson march into court, each pointing fingers at Mr. Goodson for not admitting he's the dad to their kids. Ms. Torrey says he's dodging daddy duties for her 2 munchkins, and Ms. Henderson claims he's bailing on her 4-year-old darling. They both want the judge to make him face the music and pay up for his kiddos.
You have joined together because you, Ms. Torrey, claim the defendant is denying he is the father of your 2 kids. And Ms. Henderson, you state Mr. Goodson refuses to take responsibility for your old daughter and enforce his financial obligations as a father.
Hold on to your socks because they're about to get knocked off. Mr. Goodson hopes the DNA test will make him the official dad, although he's not too sure because, oops, both ladies might have had other beaux when babies were made. He spills the tea about possible cheating shenanigans, and the judge's ears perk up for the scandalous scoop. The plot thickens, so don't go anywhere.
You claim Ms. Torrey has admitted that she cheated on you in the past, and she is also not confident the children's biological father.
Yes.
Although you are actually hoping the test proves that you are. Ms. Henderson slept with you and your cousin in the same time frame, and therefore you can't be sure her daughter is yours.
You're not going to believe this one. Ms. Henderson tells a wild tale about Mr. Goodson picking her up in a stolen car. Yep, like a real-life car thief. Just as they were cruising, the cops flash their lights and it's game over. She paints him as Mr. Reckless, and we're all just eating up the drama. Wait for it. The ride gets bumpier.
Then next thing you know, he like, shoot, baby, can I come see you? I'm like, yeah, you can come see me, what's up? He came to see me in the Stolo, which they call down in St. Louis, it's a stolen car. So he come picks me up in the Stolo. or whatnot, and I'm looking out the window. He like, yeah, boo, I'm outside. Next thing you know, here come the police like, freeze. Get out the car. I'm like, really? You came to pick me up in the stolen car?
Just when you think it can't get any wilder, enter Mr. Thomas, Mr. Goodson's cousin, who throws another curveball by admitting to a boozy one-night fling with Ms. Henderson. It was just a bit of fun, he says. But oh boy, does it throw a wrench into the who's the daddy mystery. Keep your eyes peeled because the family tree is getting tangled.
What was your relationship with Ms. Henderson?
It's just like a friendship, one-night thing, you know how it be, some nights.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna need you to repeat that.
I said it just
a little louder.
It's like a one-night thing, you know how it be, some nights you might get drunk.
Right. Okay, so it's a one-night stand. So either you or your cousin, Mr. Goodson, is the father.
Yes, ma'am.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined that when it comes to 4-year-old Lazasia, Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Yeah.
Ms. Kavanaugh has been on paternity court previously and got the wrong man. The man she brought to court turned out not to be the father of her son, Malcolm. Now she believes the father of her baby is her mother's friend, Mr. Spence. You heard that right. Here is how it starts out.
You're a friend of Miss Kavanaugh's mother and say her daughter made several attempts to have sex with you. Then after a lapse in judgment, you admit you did sleep with her. Now you say there's a chance you could be Malcolm's father. Miss Kavanaugh.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your mother's friend?
Yes, Your Honor. I know how bad it sounds. I was trying to try to seduce him. I was wearing inappropriate things around him.
And why were you doing this?
In all honesty, I was drinking a lot.
Yeah, you were drinking a lot. But most people who sleep a lot do not eventually end up in paternity court testing if the father of their kid is their mom's friend. So something is deeply wrong here. Let us find out what it is.
Friend of your mother's, or did you know whether or not he was intimate with your mother?
That I do not know of. I just know that they were really good friends. Like, that's all I know.
Mr. Spence?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you enlighten the court on the nature of your relationship with Miss Kavanaugh's mother?
It's like she said, we just friends.
Did you end up being in the position you were sleeping with your really good friend's daughter?
It was like she said, came over a couple of times. She was in inappropriate gear. The first time, I shunned it off. Second time, I said, hey, watch yourself. Third time, it's starting to look good.
And then fourth time, they got down to making a baby, and that baby might be little Malcolm here. At least that is what Ms. Kavanaugh thinks. But now to the million-dollar question. How many times did this baby-making activity happen?
Times were you intimate with her?
Once.
Just once?
Just once.
Just one time, Ms. Kavanaugh?
Your Honor, I do not believe it to be once. It was at least twice, but that's just how I remember it.
So, when you found out you were pregnant, did Mr. Spence's name come to mind immediately?
No, Your Honor. It really was like, I thought Mr. Bowles was the dad. Well, after the court, I started thinking, well, he could be a possibility that Mr. Spence is the father. And I texted him and I asked him, when was the last time we had sex? He told me it was the end of October.
And when was Malcolm born?
He was born July 9th.
Yeah, so the dates kind of match up. She indeed slept with Mr. Spencer around the window of conception. The question now is, how many people did Ms. Kavanaugh sleep with around the window of conception? Let us see what her mom has to say.
How did it feel to learn that your daughter was sleeping with your very good friend?
It was very devastating, just because the relationship was inappropriate. I felt betrayed. Actually, when we were together, like all in the same room, I noticed them looking at each other a little differently.
You did?
Yeah, I knew my gut.
The woman's intuition.
Exactly. So I questioned each of them. They each denied that anything had happened. Then basically how I found out, one day Megan was angry with me and we had kind of a little tiff or whatever. It was kind of a big tiff, but when we did, she blurted out that you were right, and I did sleep with Ken.
This is just a messy situation all around. Ms. Kavanaugh's mom cannot believe that her close friend could be the father of her grandson. And at this point, he has to be, right? 2 men have been tested previously. The third has to be the charm, right? Let us see.
Did come on to him, and it was probably really a strong come on.
You did admit that in court.
But he is a grown man. He could have told me no.
It goes both ways. What would you like to add, Mr. Smith?
First of all, I didn't mean for this to happen. Yes, I got weak. Yes, I am a man. Yes, I could have told you no. Told you no thrice. As far as the baby being mine, I don't know. That's why I'm here to clear this up.
Well, that is good. Mr. Spence is here to take responsibility if the baby indeed belongs to him. That is a good thing, right? Well, it is not such a good thing considering the fact that he has a tiny domestic complication of his own. Here is that complication.
Are you in a relationship?
I'm married.
Okay. Now I do understand why you're hoping he's not your child.
That's not what I'm hoping.
What are you hoping?
I hope for the truth. Doubt is, first of all, it was only one.
The window of conception that she described. Baby born in July.
I'm there, yeah.
So you within the window of conception.
I'm in
you
that
don't
period.
dispute that.
I do not dispute.
All
That's
right.
why I'm here.
So if he does not dispute the window of conception and admits that he actually slept with her within the period in question, what is he actually disputing? Well, you see, Mr. Spence believes that Ms. Kavanaugh did a little bit of extra sleeping around.
What did she say?
I'm sleeping with other people. I got a boyfriend.
Oh.
Which was Mr. Bowles at the time, Your Honor.
Understood.
Yeah.
But we also know that there was Mr. Scott, too.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah,
He's been tested and he's here. So describe your relationship with Mr. Scott.
I was hanging out at the pool one day. I met him. He told me he had a girlfriend and kids and all this other stuff. So we didn't do anything the very first night, we just drank a little bit, got to know each other. Second night, we hung out, and yes, we did have intercourse. And that went on for like maybe a week or two. And we wore condoms every single time, except for one time.
And that is all a baby needs to happen, folks. Just one time without a condom, and before you know it, you are right here in paternity court. This is crazy because it means Ms. Kavanaugh was sleeping with 3 different men around her conception period. Here is what Mr. Scott thinks.
We understand that you had a sexual relationship with Ms. Kavanaugh.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was during the window of conception. Do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
You were not using protection?
I use protection every time. I don't recall, not using protection.
So you don't recall. Now she says there was an instance when you did not, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say there was no instance?
No, ma'am. I strongly, I don't believe that, Malcolm is mine.
You don't?
I don't.
Of course he does not. And why should he? This man has a wife and kids, so he has every incentive not to believe that Ms. Kavanaugh's baby belongs to him. Anyway, let's get to the bottom of this. What does the DNA test results say?
In the case of Kavanaugh v. Spence Scott, when it comes to the paternity of 1-month-old Malcolm Kavanaugh, Mr. Scott, you are not his father.
Okay, it seems Mr. Scott was saying the truth when he said he always uses a condom and that he isn't the father of Ms. Kavanaugh's baby. Now it is time to find out if Mr. Spence is the real father or there is a 4th potential father.
In the case of Kavanaugh versus Spence Scott, when it comes to the paternity of 1-month-old Malcolm Kavanaugh, Mr. Spence, you are not his father.
The case kicks off with Miss Capples claiming Mr. Harris is the father of her son and wants him to sign the birth certificate. Meanwhile, his girlfriend is right there, and Mr. Harris denies everything, demanding a DNA test. This drama is heating up fast, and it's only going to get hotter.
Miss Caples, you say you are 100% certain that the defendant is your 15-month-old son, Jasion's biological father, and today he's going to put his name on the dotted line right in front of his girlfriend.
Miss Capples says their relationship was just hookups, and she blames his girlfriend for making him deny the baby. Mr. Harris insists it's not his, and everyone's just dodging responsibility. Just when it seems clear, Mr. Harris drops a strange twist.
To be completely honest, Your Honor, me and Mr. Harris, we were never in a relationship. Let's clarify that now. We were just
sleeping together.
Sleeping together. That's pretty much it.
Were you in another relationship?
No, I was not, no.
I wasn't.
You find out you're pregnant. Obviously, you weren't using protection if there's a question that he's the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things turn confusing when Mr. Harris admits he heard about the pregnancy, but then didn't hear from Miss Capples for months. He says he started doubting when she dated someone else while pregnant. It's all a blame game, and Miss Capples is ready to show some evidence.
She texted me and told me she was pregnant. Then she disappeared for months.
When she texted you and said, I'm pregnant, what did you think? Are you now with Miss Mayfield in a relationship?
Ma'am, that's when I had got with her in a relationship.
She was around 5 months.
She got jealous of what me and...
What is there to be jealous about? I don't care about you guys being
Miss Mayfield. So go ahead.
Sit her down.
Miss Capples brings out a calendar to prove her timeline matches her pregnancy with Mr. Harris. He's confident, but Mr. Harris is still uncertain if he was even with her. It's a mess, and just when things seem clear, it gets more ridiculous.
As you can see, my son Jason was born January 9, 2016. Me and Mr. Harris were intimate for 9 months, all the way up the beginning of May. We started talking around September, Mr. Harris. Like I said, all the way up until the beginning of May. If you go back 9 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, bring you to April. And is this the window of conception where my son was born?
Mr. Harris admits he was with multiple women and didn't even know Miss Capples' real name. Miss Capples denies seeing others, but the situation is chaos. It's impossible to look away, especially as they argue about who showed up when the baby was born.
Were you involved with more than one man?
No, I was not, and he did not tell me that he was dealing with other women while me and him were talking. So I did not know that he was playing the
Men usually don't tell you. They want to keep
She
getting.
went through my phone, text other women back.
Cut me off.
Yeah, that's the time y'all stopped talking. I know, boo. I know the whole story.
I'm sure you do, because you were there, right? And you were there when he was.
You don't even know your real name.
You were.
Miss Capples says Mr. Harris didn't come to the hospital because he was at work. He showed up the next day, but claimed the baby didn't look like him. Things are awkward, and there's a twist about who else was there that's coming up.
Did he get to come to the delivery room?
He didn't have a ride, Your Honor.
I was at the work when she delivered the baby. The next morning, I came up there. When I looked at him, he didn't look like me at all. I had been here, my doubts, but like I say, everybody around town says that she goes around saying it's another guy's baby.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not.
Because you did not want to, or you were not even asked to?
Both. I wasn't asked. I had my doubts.
Miss Mayfield, Mr. Harris's girlfriend, was the nurse in the delivery room when Miss Capples was giving birth. Miss Capples says she was spying, but Miss Mayfield says she was just doing her job. The tension is intense, and now the fight's about visitation rights.
What is this about the hospital room, Miss Kate?
I'm undergoing surgery, getting ready to have my tubes tied.
That is my job.
As a woman, I would not want to be in a room with a woman that's having my boyfriend's baby.
Okay, so you were the patient.
You work at the hospital, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then that was where they told you your station or where you were supposed to be? You were assigned to that?
Today, we got our stuff to do. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Capples lets Mr. Harris's family see JC on, but keeps him away from Mr. Harris. He and Miss Mayfield are upset, saying she's doing it on purpose. It's pure chaos, all leading to the DNA results.
Miss Caples, you're letting his family members see
close
the
with
baby?
his sister. I'm
like to go out all the time.
I don't
That's the
go
only
out.
reason.
What are you
Because you
talking
could easily
about?
give in to him when he did. He don't
He
have
would
to
be
drive
out
somewhere.
too. You
don't
would
have
home
to.
with the kids. What you
Right.
talking
No,
about?
he don't.
All right, one at a time. One at a time, ladies. Ooh-wee.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Harris, you are not the father.
Thank you. Thank you.
You didn't sleep with no one else.